we're back with another episode of Stories with the Devil. I'm your host, Blue Devil, and today I got a special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's poppin'? Silent 200.
All right, check this out. Go ahead and give us your story with the devil. It could be any type of story. It don't matter.
Yeah, so the story I'm gonna talk about today is when I lost one of my best friends. His name is Otis, Mauricio Dominguez. So this starts at my pad. We're chilling. It's October 20th. And I think the year is 2010 as well. Yeah, it is 2010 because my son was just born. My son was born September 15th. Oh, sorry, my bad, 2012. Yeah, my son was born September 15th, 2012. And then it was October 20th of that year. So it's me, my boy Oldies, and my homie Safety. And we know we got a couple other people right there, and we're chilling, we're having a good time. My birthday is October 22nd, and my boy Safety, his birthday is October 21st. And October 20th is when we're hanging out. So, you know, we're all chilling there at the pad, having drinks and shit. My boy Safety, he ain't there that long. You know, he comes, he rolls up some weed, he smokes with my homie Oldies and shit like that, and then he bounces, he does his own thing. So we're chilling, you know, we're having a good time. And, you know, we're talking about like our kids and stuff, because he had a son too. And, you know, we're just talking about like how dope it is to be, you know, that we have sons, that we're now fathers. And, you know, just what we look forward to doing, how dope it's going to be that, you know, both of our kids are going to grow up and they're going to be friends just like how me and him are friends. And, you know, Odie's, I've known him since middle school, since, you know, prior to getting into the streets and gangbanging and shit. So, yeah, we're chilling. And he ends up leaving to the front of my house with another homie. And they end up going to the corner where he parked at to go chill in the car and smoke weed or do whatever they were doing. So it's getting pretty late. It's like close to like midnight. So, and I got my newborn, so I'm like, maybe I need to cut it short. You know, like I need to go to bed because, you know, my son's like just in the room right there and shit. And my lady's right there watching him. It's not like he was like abandoned or something, but so my lady leaves to give one of the homies a ride home. And as she's gone, this is kind of where everything starts transpiring a little bit. So she leaves, and then she's like, hey, you know, we probably are gonna have to go to bed soon because, you know, our son's in there and, you know, it's getting late or whatever. So as she leaves, I go to the front to go find my boy Oldies, so that way I could tell him like, hey, fool, like I'm gonna call it a night. So I go to the front of my house, and I'm like, man, where the hell are these fools at? And I look down the street and I see them in the car in front of the liquor store of where my hood's at. And they're facing towards my house so they could see me. So I'm like, yo, I'm just like, put my hand up and I'm like, I'm about to, like, basically I'm trying to give them hand signals that I'm gonna go to bed. And both of them are like, come over here. I'm like, nah, like I'm going to bed. So I turn around and I start walking into my house. So I walk through the side gate, go into my back door, and I'm like, I'm going into my room. So the time that it took for me to walk from the front of my house into my bedroom is how fast things transpired. And that's basically when I walked away, they both got out the car and they started walking back to my house. They were gonna try to talk me into fucking still staying out and kicking it. So when they were basically in front of my house, a car had pulled up on them and was like, hey, yo, it's like, y'all got some weed? And then both of my homies stopped and they looked and they're like, what? He was like, yeah, you guys got some weed? And they're like, nah. But by the time he even finished answering, you know, whoever was there started shooting him. You know, he let off like 16, 17 shots. And I remember hearing all of this as I was in my son's room. Because I had just took my son out and I had him on the bed, and I remember I was trying to fix him up, like wrapping him up in a little blanket. I don't know if you know, those who have newborns, you know, you gotta wrap them a certain way to keep them like snug and they'll fall asleep and stuff. So I'm wrapping them up and I hear all of these gunshots and I'm like, oh damn. So I grab my son and I'm laying on the floor with him until everything calms down. And then I remember putting him in his bed, and then I hear my gate open hella fast, and then I hear to what sounds like it's my homie Odie saying my name. He's like, silent, and I'm like, oh shit. So I run out the back, and I see some of my homies who are already there laying on the floor. And what I thought happened, I thought somebody ran into my backyard and like had sprayed up everybody. So when I seen everybody right there, I thought everybody was shot. So I was like, oh shit, until they started getting up. I'm like, what happened? Was that back here? And they're like, nah, that was in the front. I was like, oh hell nah. So I start walking to the front now, and if I'm standing in my backyard, I could see through the side gate to the front of my house. And there's this little corner to where of how my house is shaped, to where there's a corner and then it's the side gate. But in this corner was my bedroom window, and I seen somebody laying right there, and I didn't know who it was. So I walk over there and I'm like, who is that? And then I notice it's my homie Odie's, and he's laying on his stomach. So I go over there and I'm like, hey, my boy, are you all right? And he's not responding to me. So I grab him and I notice that his back is hella wet. So I'm like, oh shit, but there's no blood on my hands, but I noticed that his back is wet. So I turn him over and it's him. I'm like, oh shit. I was like, hey, Odie's, are you all right? And he's looking at me, but he's not looking at me, dog. Like, he's looking at me, he's like, silent, silent. Like, he just keeps repeating my name over and over again. And I could tell, like, as I'm looking at him, that his life is leaving his body. Like, he's just calling my name because he's just having that, his body's having that reaction, but he's looking at me, but he doesn't know that I'm right there. So I'm right there and I'm looking at him. I'm like, hey, my boy, like, you're gonna be all right, fool. Like, you need to chill right here, you're shot. So as I'm holding him, I hear one of my other homies in the front yelling my name too. So I'm like, damn, what the fuck is going on? So I lay him down and I tell one of my homies, I was like, hey, come over here, like, Odie's is shot, fool. Like, come stay right here with him. So I go in the front, and then my other homie, he got shot in the stomach. And he was actually able to talk. He was like, oh, I'm shot in my stomach, dog. I'm like, hey, let me see your phone. So that way I could call 911 for the ambulance and shit. So I called 911, and all I could hear on the other line of the dispatcher is other people calling them about a shooting happening in the same area. So I'm like, hey, like, somebody got shot. They're laying in my yard, in my backyard. I need like an ambulance over here. And then like the person on the other line was not responding, so I just clicked on him. And then less than like 30 seconds later, like, the cops were already on my block, and they didn't come into the block because they didn't know what was going on. And like I said before, like, we used to shoot out the street lights on my street, so everything would be dark. You wouldn't be able to see in there. So the cops, they were at the corner of where the main street was, and they were looking into the block with their doors open with their guns out. So I'm over here walking into the middle of the street like, hey, come through. Like, my friend, he's dying. Like, he's shot. And then they come, but when they come, instead of like coming back there to start doing like emergency treatment on him, they got me at gunpoint now. They're like, hey, where you going? Stay right there. I was like, hey, my friend's shot. He's over here. He's like, I don't care. He's like, keep your hands up and come forward. Like, and then they fucking basically put me in cuffs because they didn't know what was going on. And so they put me in cuffs. They grab everybody else. They put them in cuffs. And then they line us up on the curb outside and shit. And I remember I'm just sitting there. I'm like, man, these motherfuckers are not doing shit, dude. Like, my boy's back there, like, on the ground, shot. And so is my other homie, the one that I grabbed the phone from, but I don't hear him either. So I'm not, the cops go into my yard and I don't see them. So I'm thinking like, okay, they must be helping him. And until later when they try to like question everybody about like what happened is when I was told that he had passed away. And,
they both passed away, or just one?
Just my homie Oldies. My other homie, he suffered from the gunshot wound to his stomach.
The ambulance never came?
The ambulance came and they only took my homie that was shot in the stomach, and then I never seen them come out with my other boy. They left him right there.
Now, if you think if you know how you came out and they had you at gunpoint, the police, if they would have never done that and went straight to help the people that were in the back hurt, you think they would have lived?
I think there's a possibility. There's no way to say 100%, but like, law enforcement and people that work in those type of things, they're taught to do life-saving like strategies on a person when they're like gonna die. They have the tools in their vehicles and shit. So I think if they would have, you know, not hesitated as much, staying outside of the block, putting their guns inside, fucking putting me at gunpoint, putting me in handcuffs, then putting everybody else in handcuffs. Not to mention, they still cleared my house. They went into my house. They grabbed my mom. They grabbed I got 3 brothers and a sister. They grabbed all of them, put everybody in handcuffs, and then attended to the wounded.
Would you say that's a safety measure on the police behalf?
I mean, it probably is, yeah, for them. There's probably reasons why they do it the way that they do it, but from being the person that's within that situation, you could just wish for more that could have happened, because you know that every second counts.
For sure.
Like when I'm looking at my boy and his life is leaving his eyes, I'm like it's all that I remember now, right? And it's like I almost kind of have like I always mention them in my songs and shit, but like I kind of have like a survivor's remorse. I always think about that, because word on the street is that after that happened, people were saying, "Oh, we got the rapper. Oh, we got the rapper." They thought that they killed me. So when they went there, they were looking for me. They weren't looking for him. And that shit sticks with me still, especially since now, you know, his son is growing up without a father. His baby mama, you know, she's raising, you know, her son on her own. Well, now she's with some dude, but, you know, you get the point. You can't help but, you know, to feel guilty sometimes. But now that I'm older, I'm like, you know what, like we both knew what we were getting ourselves into. You know, he knew the consequences, but, you know, sometimes I wish it was the other way around.
Now, when the police got there, they started to question everybody. Did anybody say anything or do anything?
No.
What happened?
Because
after
nobody knew anything.
Yeah.
The only people that knew was him, because he was the one in the front that got shot. My other homie, I mean, he didn't say shit either. He went straight to the hospital. They did talk to him over there, but he had nothing to say.
Now, something that I'm thinking right now is when they were down the street at the liquor store and they were calling you over, do you think that's when they were having an altercation, or do you think they were just calling you over to, you know, want to make you stay outside?
So they were at the corner, and then one at a time they decided to drive. Then they decided to drive into the block in front of my house. But even at that, they still stopped and then got out and like were standing over their cars with their guns drawn, asking me to come forward to them.
Okay. They didn't know if the shooter was still in the premises. Okay.
Right.
And after all this happened, how did you you know, pull through with life after seeing your friend, you know, dead on the floor?
I think you pulled through with just the healthiest way I could say this to other people that deal with this is to be around people who equally shared good memories about that person, right? Because, you know, you could want revenge, you could want to go, you know, do X, Y, and Z, but at the end of the day, like, you're still gonna have that pain in the back of your head that's gonna make you, you know, not feel well. And the more you're around people that share good memories about that person, you know, the easier it is to go through the process. But at the end of the day, it's still never easy. You know, you're still gonna want to be a knucklehead.
Now, I got one last question. Did you ever find out why they did it or who it was?
Nah.
Nothing? Okay, anything you want to conclude with the story?
Nah, I just want to say, you know, rest in peace to my boy Odie's. You know, we do this shit for you, man. RP to Biggie, RP to Chino. You know, we do this shit for y'all.
All right, rest in peace. And with that being said, this is Stories with the Devil. I'm your host, Blue Devil, here with Silent 200, and we out.